Welcome to the show. I'm Jason Whitlock, and I'll tell you how Colin Kaepernick just proved he doesn't really want to play in the NFL.
And I'm Colin Cowherd, and I'll tell you why Jerry Jones should actually be embarrassed about how he's handled the Ezekiel Elliott situation. Speak for yourself, roaring out of the gates on a Monday.
Fabulous Monday, lots to talk about.
Yep.
Looking forward to this show. Hello and welcome. We're joined today by a couple of Super Bowl champions, Greg Jennings and Eric Davis. Let's start in the National Football League, where the first week of the preseason brought another round of controversy with Seattle Seahawks star Michael Bennett and Marshawn Lynch of the Oakland Raiders both sitting during the national anthem over the weekend. Lynch didn't address what led to his decision, but Bennett was very outspoken about it.
The last couple of days, seeing everything in Virginia, seeing what's going on out there, and earlier today in Seattle, I just wanted to be able to use my platform to be able to continuously speak on injustices. First of all, I want to make sure people understand I love the military. My father was in the military. I love hot dogs like any other American. I love football like any other American, but I don't love segregation. I don't love riots. I don't love oppression. I don't love gender slandering. And I just want to see people have the equality that they deserve. And I want to be able to use this platform to continuously push the message of that.
All right, Cowherd, should the NFL be concerned with the continuing anthem protests?
Well, whether they are or not, they better get used to it, because there's two groups of people in this country that are young and wealthy, Silicon Valley and sports, and they both want to be heard, and you're not going to mute it. Social media's changed everything. I know what my mailman thinks. I know what my school teacher thinks. I know what my golf pro, if I was a golfer, although I look like a golfer today, thinks. This is the reality. This is the new world. When you go to an airport now, they're checking for everything. They didn't used to. If you're not comfortable with young people of wealth, pro sports in Silicon Valley having an opinion, you're going to live a terribly uncomfortable life. This is our new reality.
It is our new reality. If I'm the NFL, I'm very concerned because, again, I think Michael Bennett, and I'll even toss Colin Kaepernick in there. I'm not sure about Marshawn Lynch. I think the well-intentioned, but the road to hell is paved with great intentions. And when you don't know what you're doing, and when you don't understand your history, and when you don't even understand the business that you're in, the National Football League is a television show. That's all it is. It's a television show. And these guys are off-brand. The National Football League has generated billions of dollars and become this unprecedented force in American culture because it has attached itself to patriotism.
It has.
And idealistic values. And no matter how you slice it, no matter how you explain it, when you sit down and take a knee during the national anthem, it lands as an unpatriotic move. That's how it's being interpreted, regardless of what your intentions are. They're off script, they're off brand, it's bad for business. There's a more effective way to get your point across, but like a lot of young people, you can't tell them anything.
I don't think that they should be concerned about it, and you say it doesn't matter what you're doing or why you're doing it, it's going to be taken as unpatriotic. I was in the press box at the Rams-Cowboys game. When the national anthem came on, sports writers were sitting, tweeting. They were doing what they were doing.
Not on camera.
But they're not deemed unpatriotic. It's a request. Please rise for the national anthem. It's a request. It's just a common practice. It doesn't mean, as Michael just said, that he hates the country.
Eric, you're having a semantical argument in terms of, you're right, in theory, everything you're saying. But how it lands with football fans, the paying customers, and the people that are watching on TV lands completely different than a laboratory theory.
Well, hold on, but there's an assumption, just like I heard you say that the players don't understand the business, they don't understand it's the TV show. There's an assumption that they don't. And as opposed to an assumption that they do. No, because they're doing this because Michael Bennett just said, he clearly stated how he feels about the country, how he feels about the military, but I'm doing this just to bring light to something. And every player is not going to do that.
I get it. But
what if you didn't air it? I'm just, to your point, which is it's bad, it's not on brand. Yeah. To your point is it's an option. What if the NFL just decided we're not going to televise the anthem?
They didn't always do it.
No, and the players a lot of times stayed in the locker rooms. Before 2009, they were in the locker room during the national anthem.
So if it is off-brand, don't televise that part of the brand.
That's where I would go.
I don't think that the NFL has to have any concern because this isn't going to stop consumers from watching NFL football games. It's not going to stop fans from going to NFL because they don't come to the NFL games to see players make a stand. They don't. But what players are doing, they understand this is an opportunity for me to stand up for what I believe in. And so when I continue to read it and continue to reverse, or not reverse, but listen to what Michael Bennett was saying, there was one word that he used that really stands out to me. He said, I'm making myself vulnerable. He understands, that in itself lets me know I understand the pros and the cons of my stance. I understand the positives and the negative feedback that I may get, the ridicule that I may endure. But I have to provoke change and stir up the conversation of change, regardless of is this the platform that everyone agrees that I should do it on. It's my greatest platform.
Wait, I hear what you're saying right there. You're saying it's ineffective, and that's the other reason I would say there's no reason for the league to be concerned about it, because if it is ineffective as you're saying in trying to make that change, or even for working with the product or hurting the product, then it's going to lose its thunder. They're going to stop asking every single guy why you're sitting down and why you're doing it. It's gonna lose that if that's the case.
I personally think that the NFL should just stay neutral in this, because if they pick a side and they show that, you know, we're gonna support the players, they're gonna get ridiculed. And that we all understand that the NFL is all about.
One of my biggest complaints about athletics, particularly college athletics, is that athletes are not allowed to major in athletics and sports. And if we were properly educated about the history of these sports and how they became such mammoth cultural powerhouses. The NFL is the #1 TV show on 5 networks. That's unprecedented in the history of television, and this is off script. It's bad for TV. They don't understand why Michael Bennett's making all the money. There's been a strategic plan put in place for years, and this is off script. People don't understand it because they haven't taken the time to study these businesses. They don't know how we got here. This is off script. It's bad business.
Reality TV was off script. You used to script everything, and then we went to reality TV, and people went, whoa, it's too raw. And it took over American TV.
Not nearly as powerful as the National Football League.
Okay, LeBron James, when he left and said, I'm leaving Cleveland, that was off-brand. You don't leave your hometown team. I think off-brand forces leagues to digest it. Okay, we have a cultural shift here. And I think it creates discomfort, but I think this is the new reality with young people.
It's different now.
And it's great. And the new reality might be that the NFL is less of a TV juggernaut in the aftermath of this.
That's possible.
And the new reality might be there'll be less money. Instead of $12 billion to cut up, there may only be $10 billion to cut up.
Possible.
And so the new reality might be that some of these players that are making a boatload of money, the people following behind them won't make as much. And if everybody's good with that and we agree on that,
and there's also a reality that you could be bringing in a new crop of fans that you didn't have because they feel the same way these players.
All right.
This is the Speak for Yourself podcast. I am your host, Jason McIntyre. Before we move on, I want to tell you that this podcast is sponsored by Barbasol. The biggest thing to happen to Barbasol since shaving cream is also the only thing to happen to Barbasol since shaving cream. Introducing new Barbasol razors. The brand America trusts for a close, comfortable shave now has premium disposable razors. Barbasol's close shave technology on every razor means you get an advanced pivoting head and ultra-thin open flow blades. The Ultra 6 Plus razor also features a 7th blade, specifically designed to style those tricky areas like under the nose, sideburns, and beard. Visit Barbasol.com and get a $2 savings coupon and see for yourself why Barbasol razors are the #1 new disposable razors out there. You're looking good, America. You're shaving with Barbasol. Now let's get back to the show.
To Dallas, where Ezekiel Elliott was suspended Friday for 6 games over domestic violence allegations. Zeke will file a formal appeal tomorrow, but the Fort Worth Star-Telegram has revealed several pieces of information that Elliott plans to use in his defense, including the running back's claim that the accuser told him, quote, "I'm going to ruin your life, and you are a black male athlete, I'm a white girl, they are not going to believe you." Whitlock, what is your reaction to Elliott's appeal?
You know, as I thought about this over the weekend, on Friday we talked about this, and I was of the opinion that Ezekiel Elliott should wave the white flag, take the suspension. And my other opinion was they've set a dangerous precedent. This is a he said, she said. He's now about to air his defense. And the stuff that's leaking out sounds really credible on his side. That Roger Goodell and the NFL, to me, feel a bit out over their skis as it relates to this incident with this particular accuser. I'm concerned that we've set a precedent here, because when they come out with their side of the story, it's going to be compelling. It's going to turn on this racial issue. And, you know, you got a white woman accusing a black man of something, that she's been caught in lies. This thing could turn really, really ugly on Roger Goodell and the National Football League. And based off just the stuff I'm hearing this week, I don't blame Ezekiel Elliott and the Cowboys for putting up a fuss.
It is interesting, because this is one of these where I'd rather be last on the story. Like, I kind of want to let it play out.
Yes.
I'm uncomfortable talking about this story because it's domestic violence. It's violence, period, against another human being. My concern with Ezekiel Elliott, I hope he is surrounded by really smart people, because he is struggling to manage his image. And what I mean by that is, listen, he went into Seattle as a Dallas Cowboy into a marijuana dispensary store and had no idea that anybody would care. His father came out and said, "I question whether my son can navigate superstardom." If he feels he has a great case, then you defend yourself to the end. My concern with him is, so far, he has not surrounded himself with people that understand the temperature of the room. If you're going to fight this, and he knows what's right and wrong, then if you feel you have a great case, go for it. But this is the Cowboys. You have struggled with your image. It will extend the story. It will go into a racial area. My belief is the only people that really know what to do here are the people involved. And if you feel you've been wronged, you go for it. But be very careful, because as you extend this, you're a Cowboy running back. This could become our next Kaepernick story, a year-long story.
Well, you said you got to know when to fold him sometime. I expected the appeal, because you can't fold on this if domestic violence. If you don't want to be labeled that person if you didn't do that. Right. So as long as he didn't do it, and he knows he didn't do it, it's just like on Friday we were talking about this. How do you feel about the league doing it? I said, well, if they did their due diligence and they have the information, then okay, they got you. You're suspended, and rightfully so. If you feel like you've been wronged, then you go out and you do this. Now, the issue comes up. If you go through this process and you are proven to be guilty throughout this appeal, I think that could be even worse than not folding. Because now all of this other information is going to come out, and they're saying you did this, and people in that locker room think you did it. We are all grown men. We already have our feelings on how we would approach, address, and feel towards a man that has been beating on a female. His teammates are going to be that way too. That's good. There be some guys that can compartmentalize and let it go. There are going to be some guys that will view him differently, and they already do. So he's got to change it, got to fight it to get that stigma away. But if you're proven guilty, it can get really ugly.
Yeah, bottom line is he's definitely going to appeal it. And to your point, there's not enough that we know to be fact and true to where I'll speak for myself, to where I can accurately say or give a 100% opinion on how I feel about this. I don't know, because there's so much that we just don't know.
This is where you and I were critical of Jerry Jones.
So when it comes to him appealing, to your point, he definitely has to appeal it, because if he's not done these things, then he has to make sure that he's doing everything in his power to get this tag, this label that we are all seeing him as, off of him. Another point, really quick. Another point. When it comes to his image, it doesn't matter if he's done it or not. He's created this image and this idea of him not really knowing how to manage his off the field personal life. And so from just that perspective, to your point again, he has to understand, I got to do better. I have to surround myself with better company and understand that I am in the limelight, and it came a lot quicker than what he possibly thought it would come. And having that star on his helmet is going to shine even more of a light and put even bigger microscopes on him, regardless of or in spite of every situation he does that may be good, bad, or indifferent. He has to understand everyone's watching me now.
He is starring as a player. He is struggling with everything else. I mean, he's really struggling. I mean, just on a weekly, monthly, annual basis. We're not to the season yet, and it feels like this season could be done. Welcome back. Greg Jennings, Eric Davis are here and returning. Let's return to Dallas, where Jerry Jones was reportedly furious after the NFL announced it was suspending Ezekiel Elliott for 6 games. Over the last few months, Jerry has insisted Elliott was innocent and that he didn't expect a suspension. Now he's taking some real heat for his comments. Jason LaCanfora, CBS, writing, quote, "If Jones knew what the NFL was learning through whatever back channels and still spoke out like this, shame on him. And if he spoke in such a cavalier fashion without any true indications of what the league was discerning, shame on him for that as well." All right, Whitlock, should Jerry Jones be embarrassed how he handled the situation?
Listen, I'm going to wait maybe 6 months. Let this play out before I decide if Jerry Jones was a bad guy or not in this situation. Jason LaCanfora is accepting whatever the NFL has rolled out there. I haven't seen the smoking gun yet. Jason LaCanfora perhaps should point me to it because I just haven't seen it. Jerry Jones hasn't seen the smoking gun yet and obviously believes Zeke's side of the story and obviously believes some of the things in text message, some of the things the accuser was caught lying about, impeach her credibility. That's what Jerry believes. I'm going to pump the brakes and wait and see how this plays out. Then I'll decide. Might be Jerry screwed up, might be Roger Goodell screwed up.
Shouldn't he, though, know the temperature of the room in 2017? You are an owner in a league that whiffed on Ray Rice. You called Greg Hardy a great leader. It's 2017. We've had campus rape issues and domestic violence issues all over college campuses. Know the temperature of the room. My criticism of Trump this weekend. Know the temperature of the room in 2017. Don't wait till Monday to have a speech.
Well, I think what Jerry would say is the temperature in the room is that Rolling Stone magazine wrote an article accusing a whole fraternity of rape, and the temperature turned out to be that was a false story. And so he believes Zeke Elliott. And that's the temperature of the room that he's concerned about. He believes Zeke Elliott.
Now, the embarrassing part for me was more so the Lucky Whitehead thing where you didn't investigate one and you investigated the other. But do I think he should be embarrassed? It's 2017, but in 2017, you still should be able to trust a grown man's word. So if he's talking to Ezekiel Elliott, and if Ezekiel Elliott is saying these are the facts, from my standpoint, here it is. This is what went on, and I'm sure those conversations were held. This is what's happening. I can't fault him for believing a grown man. When I'm sure he's trying to get all the information as he possibly can. He's going, and he has, you said there are only 2 people that actually know what's going on.
So why would I mean, in domestic violence, there really is only 2 people that know. You're an owner. You're probably the most powerful owner in the league.
You trusted the guy's word.
But I wouldn't go public with it.
And that's absolutely, I'm with you on this one. I think he does have a reason to be embarrassed because even if my player tells me one thing, I can believe him and take his word,
yes,
but I don't have to publicize it. I don't have to go and say there is nothing here. In my opinion, I felt like he was trying to strong-arm Roger Goodell, saying that, look, there's nothing here. Stop where you are. There's no need to send down a suspension of any magnitude and just let it happen. Let whatever cards that needs to be rolled out and played, let it just fall.
This is not victimless. Like when you have a crime where there's a potential victim, I think you let the legal process play itself out, even if you do trust your
Okay, but let's say that Jerry Jones was the head coach of the Duke lacrosse team.
Yeah.
And they were accused of rape and some things. And let's say the head coach got in there and ferreted out what, the Duke lacrosse situation. Should he just sit back silently? Well, we're going to or should he defend his players? Again, I don't know what Jerry's doing or who the bad or the good person is in this situation. But we live in America, and yes, I get the seriousness of domestic violence. But there have been some false accusations.
But there's other ways that he can defend his players without, like, literally saying, there's nothing here.
That was
as
true.
If I was there, I was with these.
If the Duke lacrosse coach had said that at the time, would we all have criticized him?
That's a good point, because Jerry is an NFL owner. These are pro athletes. There's a history of Cowboy players saying nothing happened, and it has. Duke was a national, unique story.
I think the difference here is there's some evidence in support of Zeke that they're about to lay out, and they are starting to lay out in the media. It's not just, hey, Zeke told me this. Look at these text messages. Listen to what this witness said. Look at these lies we caught the accuser.
So you're saying this is probably what he's seen before we're just now seeing it.
Yes, we're just not seeing it. So that's my reason for saying he shouldn't be embarrassed for believing someone when they are bringing you evidence that no one else has.
I just don't think you have to go public.
But going public doesn't make it embarrassing because he believes this guy, especially after
accusations were public.
The
accusations against Zeke are public.
Exactly. So he's sitting here saying, no, this guy is being. He's sort of taking a stance for one of his guys. If I have this evidence and you are saying he's a bad guy, I'm trying to tell you he's not.
But don't you believe, on a macro level, domestic violence has been a really bad spot for the NFL? And so your most powerful owners should be a little reticent in addressing without complete legal investigation.
I think we're moving into an area where some people are looking at American culture that's so controlled by optics rather than the truth, that there are some people that have made so much money or have gotten so old, they don't care. If everybody else wants to live a lie, if everybody else wants to worry about their image all the time, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm going to just roll it out there and say what I think. That's where I think Jerry Jones is at. And again, until I want to see this thing play out, I'm not. Jerry may be embarrassing, might be. I just want to wait and see. All right, to Colin Kaepernick, who is still out of work and apparently not looking for any help finding it. According to the NFLPA president, Eric Winston, the union has reached out to Kaepernick's camp to offer their help, but were turned down. Winston says, quote, "We're not going to force ourselves on a player. He's calling the shots. He wants what he wants, and I respect that, and that's what we'll do." All right, Cowherd, are you surprised Kaepernick turned down help from the union?
No, because his circle of influence doesn't appear to be a lot of football people. I go back to a report, I think it was 2 years ago, from Jay Glazer. It may have been a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, where Jay reported that Kaepernick in that locker room to veterans was a little bit of an odd bird, and that he was sort of an ISO act, which is rare for a quarterback. Sometimes you get that from other players. But I remember Jay Glazer's story saying, he not that he was at odds with people, but he was not close with veterans you would lean on, like a Vernon Davis. So Kaepernick doesn't feel like a guy that sits around and talks football all day with guys. He is his own personality, and I think he is largely influenced by non-football people, not football people.
Listen, what Eric Winston said doesn't surprise me at all. I heard personally that the NFLPA has reached out several times to Kaepernick, and we got this, my camp, we got this. We don't need you all. And so this feeds my narrative that I believe here recently. This is a shakedown. This is him trying to leverage the NFL into signing him. I'm going to be a martyr. I'm going to stir up racial division in your league. I'm going to get Michael Bennett and others, Marshawn Lynch, to follow me. And the Kaepernick situation isn't going to go away until there's justice for Colin Kaepernick. No one's talking about police brutality. No one's talking about mass incarceration. This is all about Colin Kaepernick. This is exactly what he wants. He doesn't want the NFLPA involved. He wants this discussion about NFL ownership treating him in his mind in a racist fashion. This is about Colin Kaepernick. He's happy.
I'm with you on that. I think that when it comes to just reading all of this, him wanting to lay low, basically is letting them know, look, I got my team that I formulated, and we have our approach. We have our strategic agenda on how we feel like we can attack this and approach this, and that's what he's doing. Am I opposed to that? No, because I'm not Colin Kaepernick. I don't know all of what he's thinking and what they're trying to get done. But I do think that at some point, if you're really trying to get back into the NFL and play ball, the NFLPA is there to assist players. At least hear them out.
It's not interesting.
Well, I find it interesting that for a guy that got into this and everyone says he had no idea what he was getting himself into, he has no idea what he's doing, that all of a sudden he's so strategic about every move that he makes and he has a game plan with his people and what he's doing. I'm not surprised he didn't go to the NFLPA because there's nothing they can do. The NFLPA can't get him a job. The NFLPA can't get him. None of his rights as a player have been infringed upon. There's nothing in the collective bargaining agreement that they can come in and fight for him in that situation to get him a job. Really. So all they could do is say, we had a conversation with him. That's it.
There's a long history here of labor issues in America. A long history. And unions started for a reason, to intercede and inject themselves into labor disputes between an employee and ownership. Again, to suggest there's nothing the union can do in this situation is an argument. Disband the union, because this is the purpose of a union.
Absolutely.
When someone's out of work and they're in a dispute with their ownership, what the hell am I paying union dues for? And I say this.
You are out of work for what reason?
I'd have the union find out.
What is it?
And that's why they're there. They're there to see what you're missing. You're missing
Eric,
something that we could
Doesn't this go back to something
on.
that you and I have talked about numerous times? He won't talk. He won't talk to the union. All the stories I'm getting, I have to interpret because nobody will talk, right?
Agreed.
Here's my thing. Whether or not you use the NFLPA, wouldn't you at least reach out to them? They are your ally. Like, this is my Kaepernick issue. He doesn't have football people. He
doesn't want them.
Magic Johnson has a vast career. I still think of him as a hooper. I mean, you can talk about all these guys, Tim Tebow, all these people that have big brands. I still think of them in their sport. Peyton Manning, a million things, Saturday Night Live business. He's a footballer. Kaepernick now to me is a political icon. He's not a football player. He doesn't talk. He doesn't want help from the NFLPA. To me, wouldn't you at least reach out to a union and ask questions?
See, I don't think that there is anything that they can do. I think the best thing that he could have possibly done, the best thing he could have possibly done was when he was meeting with Seattle, when you're talking to those people, when you're getting out to the football people that are going to do the hiring, that you're letting them know that you want to play.
Let me suggest one thing the union could do. They could, hey, Cap, come in. You know, we had an issue with Michael Vick. We paired him up with Tony Dungy, and we went out and sold his narrative and story and got NFL ownership comfortable enough to rehire the guy. That might be one thing the union might suggest, or some football person might suggest to Colin Kaepernick, but he don't want to hear from them. All right, welcome back. Greg Jennings is back, and we're joined now by Fox NBA analyst Jim Jackson. Let's move to LeBron James, who publicly decried the violence in Charlottesville, Virginia this weekend, where a group of white nationalists clashed with protesters. One woman was killed and dozens injured. LeBron responded to the attack on Twitter, writing, "It's sad what's going on in Charlottesville. Is this the direction our country is heading? Make America great again, huh?" He said that. All right, Cowherd, what's your reaction?
Well, he's sort of the voice of the players. Every player in the NBA that's been great, the Magic, the Birds, the MJs, the LeBrons, they've all had sort of a brand. LeBron is player empowerment. He's almost the opposite.
MJ empowering.
Well, I mean, to me, I would be surprised if LeBron did not. I'm never going to condemn people who don't rush to Twitter to have an opinion.
Right.
It's 140 characters, okay? I think politics on Twitter is kind of ridiculous. But in this instance, I would be surprised if LeBron didn't condemn it publicly.
Well, clearly what happened was a tragedy and sad. Again, I think LeBron James, like a lot of these athletes, well-intentioned, ineffective. He's well-intentioned. He wants everybody to feel good, and this got retweeted nearly 100,000 times, 200,000 likes. Completely ineffective. If your goal is to move people in the middle or expand your base or communicate with Trump supporters why supporting Trump is inappropriate, this is ineffective. Because the first thing a Trump supporter says is, well, hold on. When policemen got killed in Dallas, let me go through LeBron's Twitter feed. Did he blame President Obama? So this is polarizing and divisive, is what he did here over social media. And that's the intention of social media, particularly Twitter. It's to be divisive and polarizing and to spur more of what we just saw in Charlottesville over the weekend. Ineffective, well-intentioned, but ineffective. Young people have virtually no understanding of the strategy and the thought that went into changing America. We're not going to change America over Twitter. The things that happened in the 60s that everybody's trying to duplicate were thought out and strategic and were about bringing people together, not about being polarizing and divisive.
Why does everything on Twitter have to be effective or not effective? It's just a space to have an opinion.
When it's this ineffective, it's polarized.
Yeah, but Twitter's not meant to be effective or ineffective, is it?
I completely disagree. I think Twitter is an effective platform, especially when you have 37 million followers. Like, and who are we to be able to say or in position to say what his motive was for even sending out the tweet? So effective, my question to you would be what makes it not effective? Because he got his point across because he shared on a platform that he has.
If you're trying to, listen, if you're just trying to preach to the choir, this is really effective. If you're trying to grow your congregation and draw more people to your side, it's ineffective. The blasting off into Trump over this event, again, the immediate reaction of Trump supporters is going to be, well, hold on, didn't I see Ferguson and Baltimore burn? And did LeBron blame LeBron? Did he blame Barack Obama for that? It's ineffective. It's polarizing and divisive.
But it's two different avenues here, though, Jason, in regards to Obama versus Trump. Trump has the history in regards to sexism and racism. So when something like this jumps off and he doesn't come out and condemn the white supremacists, then you're going to have this reaction. To me, from an athletic perspective, a LeBron James who speaks out, I can understand it because he's not only speaking out about this, he does so much in the community. Absolutely. If it was somebody that all of a sudden wanted to speak out, and I can't see you planting seeds in your community around where you're at, then I don't want to hear it. But this man, whether you like it or not, has done so much for the minority community in Akron that he can speak out.
And Jim, you know what I would have loved to have heard from LeBron, in my view? This is a tragedy what's happening in Charlottesville. We need more people involved in our communities at a grassroots level to make sure this doesn't happen
But he
in other
said
places.
that. But he said that, and he's done that through his work, that I'm one of the guys that's going to come back to my community. Now, what you want to hear and how you want to position it is a lot different than that man's thing. See, and that's the difference. Now, you talked about Twitter not being effective. Back in the day, it was protests. People had to get together. Right now, we're using social media as a medium in regards to bringing the voice to the people. Back then, it was protests, boycotts. This is now our medium.
This is all pulling everything out of the rear you're in. Because, again, I'll go back to, again, it's like we have short-term memory. What really upset me, the criticism of Barack Obama about Reverend Jeremiah Wright was the same thing. So when you say Trump has this history with racism, the other side says, well, so does Obama. Did you not see Reverend Wright and the whole controversy about racism? And you may laugh it off, but there's the other side that don't laugh it off and hear something completely different.
For me, and to your point, this platform, it's effective. because if it were not effective, our commander-in-chief wouldn't use it daily.
Oh, God, you just made my greatest point.
No,
he's an idiot, and we're taking our cues from him.
That's exactly, no, it's not that they're taking the cues from him. That's exactly why we know it's effective, because you know what he's saying because of that platform.
It's very effective at speaking to dumb people and short-sighted people. Yes, it is.
You know why? Because Barack Obama, when he ran for president the first time, what medium did he use? It was social media.
Absolutely.
That's what got people out. That's what got people galvanized.
You're talking about LeBron concerned about growing his base. No, he's not.
I'm not talking about growing his base.
When you initially said, if you're trying to expand he's got a 500 million net worth.
That's not the base I'm talking about. If he's committed to the advancement of African Americans, the advancement of the treatment, fair and equality treatment, you have to expand the base of people that also share that view. This is not doing
it. Starts with saying
I think a lot of people did. By the way, he's got more followers than Trump, I've been told.
Yes.
And so, to me, I don't think he's worried on a tweet-by-tweet basis of expanding. LeBron has a brand, I guess. I hate using that word, but a brand, and it is
Unite. Growing the other side. This tweet is growing the other side.